Hey friends, Sean from Draft Therapy here, and on today's review for you, I really need help on these intros. Bourbon Barrel Aged Imperial Cafe Brown is a 9.8% Imperial Brown Ale from Saugatuck Brewing Company in Saugatuck, Michigan. Leave some cool intro suggestions in the comments below. I'll pick one out. I'll give you a shout out. Saugatuck releases these bourbon barrel aged beers a couple times a year. One that just hit shelves is the BBA Neapolitan Stout, which you can find a link to my review in the description below this video. But this time we're talking about the BBA Cafe Brown. Now, I've mentioned it a few times, I love browns. I've had a couple bourbon barrel aged browns that I've really liked. I think the bourbon really helps complement the mild flavor of a brown ale. So I'm anxious to see how this one fares. So no further explaining necessary. Let's get this into a glass. But first, we have to take a look at the label. And even before that, there's a fun fact. In 1909, the Big Pavilion opened in Saugatuck. They hosted live music and dancing in the summer. Eventually, they also became home to a roller rink and a movie theater that sat 700 people. It unfortunately burned down in 1960, almost 60 years ago, next year. So that's the fun, I guess that's not such a fun fact, but that's my fun fact for the day. So we'll take a look at the top. Saugatuck has these, all the Saugatuck beers and bottles have the same S bottle cap. It's S obviously for Saugatuck. And let's take a look at the label. This one says Saugatuck Brewing Company, made in Michigan, sbrewing.com. It has their seal, Saugatuck Brewing Company. It looks just like the bottle cap. And then it says 2019 Bourbon Barrel Aged Imperial Cafe Brown. Now it has all these little coffee beans. Yeah, it looks like it's in a coffee ring, and there's all these other little coffee rings all over the place on this. It has a government warning on the left, and to the right, it says, as always, we guarantee our beers for 6 months from package date. Cellar at your own risk. Alcohol 9.8% by volume, 20 IBUs if that's important to you. It's not really important to me, but that's another discussion. And then packaged here, the package date is September 24th, 2019. This has probably been on shelves for a couple weeks now. I found it at my local bottle shop. It's something I hadn't seen before. I didn't know they were doing a brown, and I'm such a sucker for browns that I would pick up just about any brown that I could get my hands on. So let's go ahead and grab the handy dandy bottle opener here. We'll give it a crack. I always love seeing the vapor kind of seep out of the top of the bottle when you open a new bottle. And again, the bottle cap is a black bottle cap with the Saugatuck S on it. So let's put a nose on the bottle. Ooh. I'm getting a really slight bourbon aroma, but I'm also getting a lot of kind of a coffee, almost like a sweetened coffee, like when you put sugar and some cream in your coffee. I drink black coffee, but yeah, I'm cool like that. I'm a hipster like that, I guess. But yeah, the bourbon smells in there. I'm getting a caramel aroma as well. I'm getting that coffee. It smells kind of like coffee candy more than it smells like regular coffee. I guess that's where I'm getting at with the cream and sugar. Let's go ahead and pour it. It's kind of coming out brown, a little thin on the bottle, out of the bottle here. I got pretty aggressive on that, and the head is just really kind of dying down very quickly, as you can see from the overhead. It kind of started to fizz up a little bit and just kind of pooped out. I can see around the edge, just looking at it though, I can see some bubbles rising up. It's a brown, so it's not going to be dark and black and heavy and oil looking like a stout. It's going to be a little bit lighter, a little bit more brown. That's what this looked like. It was a little bit more transparent. It wasn't super opaque. Let's hold it up here. I can't see my fingers, but through the bulb, I talk about the bulb in these glasses a lot. It is very light brown. Let's get a better nose here. I'm picking up a little bit more on the bourbon, a little bit more on this kind of chocolatey coffee aroma. It doesn't smell so much like coffee candy, but it does still have a bit of a coffee candy aroma to it. It smells a little bit more roasty coffee. Let's go ahead and dive right in. And it looks pretty, like around the edge here, I can see it looks quite thin, but again, it's a brown, it's not a stout. So, cheers. So I didn't pick up a lot of bourbon on the nose, but I'm getting a lot more of it on the finish. what I'm getting on the start is a big earthy coffee flavor in there. The mouth feels a little bit on the thinner side, but the coffee flavor is in there, but it's more of this like really earthy, roasty coffee flavor at the beginning, and the bourbon is, it's mixed in there and it's really pronounced on the swallow, and then the finish is this kind of roasty coffee, like a dark coffee kind of flavor, a little bit almost like coffee grounds kind of flavor, more so than that kind of candy coffee flavor that I was getting that on the aroma, but I'm not picking up on a candy coffee flavor. It's more of like a dark roast coffee flavor on the finish. That bourbon's just in there throughout, so it's very big on the open with that kind of earthy coffee flavor. It's big on the swallow. On the finish, it kind of fades out, and that's where that coffee really starts coming through, those really roasted malts. And as I sit and I talk, the flavor that kind of sits on my tongue, the aftertaste, is more of almost like this caramel or toffee flavor. It's like, and that's toffee with a T, not coffee with a C, but a toffee kind of rich toffee flavor at the finish. Saugatuck's bourbon barrel aged series for me has always been really hit or miss. I seem to either like them quite a bit, or I just kind of, I'm not a big fan. This one, I'm kind of in the middle, because I really like I liked what the bourbon adds to it. I like the flavors that are in there. I guess I'm actually more I'm starting to warm up to it a lot more as I drink it more. The first taste of a beer sometimes can kind of be like, you know, you taste something and there's something in there that kind of shocks your tongue a little bit, your taste buds, and you're not, you know, when before you taste a beer, you don't really know what to expect. You know what to expect reading it or smelling it, but then you take that first taste. Sometimes they can be totally different. The first taste was good, but subsequent tastes are getting a little bit better. This is not super cold. I'm not drinking it super cold. My thermometer's over here. I'm not going to get it out, but I can tell you it's probably in the 50 to 60 degree range. I know that's a big wide swath of degrees, but I am liking this quite a bit. I like the earthy flavor that's in there. I like that the coffee kind of hits you up front. The bourbon's in there, and then that bourbon fades away and you get that kind of caramel coffee, toffee, like a French roast kind of coffee with some sweetener in there or something. If I had to nitpick, which I'm going to do, if to nitpick, the one thing I would say is that the bourbon flavor that's in there, the bourbon kind of essence that's in there, is a little bit kind of overpowering. If it was a little bit more subdued, I think that it would be, you know, it would put it over the top for me. I do like it quite a bit. The bourbon flavor that's in there is good. It just kind of almost hits borderline, like alcohol, ethanol kind of bourbon. Like it's almost too strong. It's almost like a too strong of a bourbon flavor. It's almost, I don't know, it's almost borderline not bourbon, but I can tell that's what it is. And again, more on subsequent tastes. The bourbon, you really get that oakiness of the barrel, the bourbon barrel, on the swallow. The bourbon kind of burning that's in there, and it's really slight. There's no burn on the swallow, but the burning kind of alcohol flavor that you get from the bourbon is really on the upfront, and then the swallow is where you get that real nice bourbon like oakiness from the barrel, and then that bourbon, the real bourbon flavor comes through on the swallow, and then that fades out, and that's when that coffee kind of pokes back through with that caramel, with that toffee flavor. Yeah, I mean, I went from kind of being like, yeah, this is pretty good. You know, first taste was like, this is pretty good, you know, kind of assessing it and talking about it to you guys. And then I'm like, okay, I'm halfway through the bottle, halfway through my glass, and I'm really digging this. This is one that I think if you're a bourbon fan, I guess, not a bourbon coffee fan, but a bourbon fan, a brown fan, a coffee kind of brown flavored beer fan, then this is definitely worth the pickup. You know, if I would have just taken the first drink and set it down and given you my whole spiel and not tried subsequent tastes, I may have said, it's really kind of niche if you like this, but the more tastes I'm having of it, the more I'm really kind of warming up to it. and the more that I'm enjoying it. I would say if you're a bourbon barrel fan, bourbon barreled beer fan at all, then Saugatuck's Bourbon Barrel Aged Imperial Cafe Brown. That's a mouthful, but definitely worth a pickup. All right, friends, that has been Bourbon Barrel Aged Imperial Cafe Brown from Saugatuck Brewing Company. If you find yourself in their tap room, let them know that you saw their beer right here. So have you had this one before? Have you had any other Saugatuck Bourbon Barrel Aged beers? If so, what did you think? And if you like beer, you might want to subscribe and click that bell, because I'm here talking about beer twice a week on Tuesdays and Thursdays. It's all for free and it's all for viewers just like you. And you might miss your newest favorite if you're not subscribed and getting those notifications. If you have any questions you want answered on an upcoming video, you can leave a voicemail or a text at the Draft Therapy hotline at 224-DRAFT-20, and I'll answer them again on an upcoming video. So until next time, I'm Sean from Draft Therapy. Thanks for stopping by, and remember, drink craft beer, support your local breweries wherever they are, and most importantly, don't forget to treat yourself to a little draft therapy. Thanks for watching. Cheers.